Okay, think of your business like it's a world-class athlete. Lean, well, that's the personal trainer, right? Trimming every single ounce of fat to make you faster, more agile. And Six Sigma? That's the sports scientist, analyzing every tiny movement to make sure every single action is perfect and repeatable. You see, on their own, they make you pretty good, but together, they make you a champion. And that is the power couple we're going to break down today. So how do they actually pull this off? Well, here's our game plan. We're going to start by defining the villains they fight. We're talking bloat and defects. Then we'll get to know our heroes, Lean and Six Sigma, one by one. After that, we'll see the magic that happens when they team up. And finally, we'll give you their secret weapon, a 5-step playbook called DMAIC that you can use to get the same incredible results. You know, every single business, I don't care if it's a tiny startup or a massive global corporation, is in this constant battle against two invisible enemies. They are the silent killers of productivity and, yeah, profit. So let's unmask them. Okay, first up, we've got bloat. This is all the stuff that drives you crazy at work, right? It's the TPS reports, it's the meetings that totally could have been an email, it's needing 8 different signatures for a $50 expense. It's just all that bureaucratic sludge that grinds everything to a halt. Then on the other side, you've got defects. This is the coffee that's scorching hot one day and lukewarm the next. It's that piece of software that crashes every other time you open it. It's that infuriating unpredictability that just drives customers away. These are the twin dragons that Lean and Six Sigma were born to slay. All right, let's meet our first hero. This one was born out of pure necessity in post-war Japan. This is the master of speed and flow. This is Lean. So the story of Lean, it starts in the rubble of post-war Japan. I mean, Toyota was basically on its knees. Resources? That was a luxury they just could not afford. They looked over at Henry Ford's mass production lines in America and thought, you know what? We can do this better. They had no choice. They absolutely had to invent a system that squeezed every last drop of value out of every single resource. And that's how Lean was born. Not in some fancy boardroom, but out of pure, raw necessity. At the very heart of Lean is one single powerful idea: the relentless elimination of muda, which is the Japanese word for waste. And look, we're not just talking about throwing away scrap metal here. Muda is any step in a process that your customer would not be happy to pay for. It's the waiting around, it's the rework, it's the unnecessary complexity. Lean's mission is simple: find muda and destroy it. So Lean is all about creating this super highway for value to flow directly to the customer with no interruptions. It starts by asking a really simple question: what does the customer actually want? Then it maps out the entire journey to deliver that value, and it just ruthlessly cuts out every detour, every red light, every single thing that doesn't get the customer what they want faster. All right, now let's meet our second hero. This one was born right here in the USA at Motorola, and it has a superpower for achieving almost unbelievable levels of quality and consistency. Okay, fast forward to the 1980s. The tables have turned. The hunter has become the hunted. Motorola, this American giant, is getting its lunch eaten by the very same Japanese companies that had mastered Lean. The quality of their products was so inconsistent, they were seriously on the brink of disaster. So their CEO basically threw down the gauntlet: get 10 times better in 5 years or go extinct. They needed a revolution, and that revolution was called Six Sigma. So, if Lean's public enemy number 1 is waste, Six Sigma's is variation. Variation is the absolute enemy of consistency. Think about your commute to work, right? If you're an hour late one day and 30 minutes early the next, your average arrival time might look okay on paper, but your actual experience is just wildly unpredictable. That unpredictability, that variation, is exactly what Six Sigma is designed to hunt down and eliminate. Now, what's really fascinating is that Six Sigma quantifies this goal with a super specific number. Take a look at this: 3.4. What on earth could that possibly mean in the world of quality control? It means 3.4 defects for every 1 million opportunities. Just let that sink in for a second. That is the mind-bogglingly high standard of a process that's running at a Six Sigma level. This isn't about being pretty good or mostly right. It's about being so consistent, so controlled, that you are virtually perfect. So let's do a quick recap. We've got Lean from Toyota attacking waste to create speed and flow, kind of like a clockmaker who's obsessed with time. Then you've got Six Sigma from Motorola attacking variation, using statistical analysis to create consistency and control, like a scientist perfecting a formula. Two different origins, two different main targets, but one shared goal: radical process improvement. And this, my friends, is where the story gets really, really good. What happens when you combine the master of speed with the master of precision? Well, you get a true power couple. You know, this quote just nails it. For a long time, people kind of saw Lean and Six Sigma as these two competing schools of thought. But the smartest companies realized, hey, that's like arguing whether you need a heart or a brain. You need both. They're not rivals, they are two sides of the exact same coin, and together they are unstoppable. So here it is, the winning formula. You lead with Lean. You use it like a machete to just hack away all the waste, all the muda, until you're left with a clean, streamlined process. Then you bring in Six Sigma, like a scalpel, to fine-tune that process to a state of near perfection. It's a 1-2 punch that just knocks out inefficiency and inconsistency. Think that sounds good in theory? How about in practice? This is how much money Motorola saved in just over a decade after unleashing this power couple on their business. $16 billion. That is not a rounding error. That's a company-altering transformation, and it was all fueled by radically fewer defects, streamlined manufacturing, and happier customers who kept coming back for more. Okay, so how do you actually put this all into practice? Well, there is a proven 5-step playbook that these two heroes follow. It's called DMAIC, and it is the secret sauce for getting these incredible results. DMAIC is basically your roadmap. First, you define the problem with crystal clarity. What is really broken? Then, you measure your starting point with cold, hard data. No guesswork allowed. Next, you put on your detective hat and you analyze that data to find the true root cause. And only then, once you know the real culprit, do you improve the process with a targeted solution. And finally, the most crucial step, you control it. You put systems in place to make absolutely sure your gains are permanent. It's a simple, powerful cycle that turns chaos into order. And this right here is a perfect example of DMAIC in action, specifically the measure and control parts. So, a car rental company had a problem. One agent's idea of a small scratch was another's major damage. So they created what's called an operational definition. If a scratch is longer than a dollar bill, it's a problem. If a dent is bigger than a quarter, it's a problem. Simple, brilliant. It completely removes the guesswork and makes sure everyone is playing by the exact same rules. That is how you kill variation. So, the next time you're stuck in some slow, frustrating process, or you're dealing with a product that's just not consistent, you'll know what to do. You'll know that speed and precision aren't enemies, they're partners. The real question is, where in your own life, your own work, can you unleash this power couple? What fat are you going to trim? What variation will you conquer? The tools are in your hands. Now go make something better.